This is a recap for the Valley After Show, episodes 11 and 12. And believe it or not, in these episodes, Janet becomes even more insufferable. Despite yelling to the heavens about accountability, she takes absolutely none. And one thing I really thought was interesting in these after shows is in the episode 11 after show, we really start seeing the mean girls coming out of Michelle, Janet, and Sheena specifically. And I think this is the first time that I really saw, like, they do not like Nia. Like, I don't like, they're trying to hide it, but they don't like her at all. Anyways, let me know what you think. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. So join me, Bravo and Botox, and we'll catch up on all the Bravo news and read way too much into our favorite shows and Bravo celebrities. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Bravo Papers, here for your bonus Valley After Show recaps. We've got 2 episodes to cover. Sorry, a little crack in my voice there. Episodes 11 and 12. And they did not disappoint, especially because there was, very little Jax. And that's always a good thing. And I do think that these episodes kind of prove that we don't need a lot of Jax. We really don't. And we're good without him. So if anyone from Bravo out there is listening, we don't need Jax. Okay? Just put him out to pasture. He's had his heyday in the sun and, all sorts of stuff. Get rid of him. Okay? Okay. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start with episode 11. Yes, episode 11. Okay. So the big villain this episode was Janet. Not that she's not always the big villain, but Jax kind of can overshadow any villain really on reality TV. So he was sort of overshadowing in the previous episode, but Janet in this episode had her own moment, and they start by talking about the dinner. Okay. So where they were all there, and then Janet started like yelling at Kristen and Nia for, I don't even know why, because she wasn't even fucking involved in this. But anyways, so Janet's like, what was in those margaritas? Girl, are we doing this? Like, you have been berating Danny like legitimately all season about his drinking and how it's not an excuse for his behavior, which, by the way, is the only thing that you are right about, is that his drinking is not an excuse for his poor behavior. However, now you're doing that. So you're just kind of undermining your point, and I don't understand how she doesn't see this. Like, I don't think that Janet is stupid. Like, I think she sucks and she's a Karen and all that stuff. And I think the Karen word gets thrown around way too easily and, given to anyone who ever complains about anything. But this is an actual example of a Karen. Like, Janet is like, they should change the name from Karen to Janet. It should be like, you're being a Janet. If there's any Janets listening, I apologize in advance. Love you. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. Okay. So Janet's like, what was in the margaritas? Yeah. She's really annoying me. Okay. Michelle says she appreciates Janet because Janet knows what Michelle has been through in the last year with Kristen. Oh my God, the fucking victimhood with these 3. And by 3, I mean Janet, Michelle, and Sheena, because they sit together in the Valley After Show, and they are just like, they're like a little echo chamber of like, I'm the victim in every situation of everything, and I never do anything wrong. Like Sheena, not so much because she's not involved in the conflicts directly or in the storylines, but she just sits there and nods and agrees and laughs at literally everything they say. So I'm grouping her in. So Michelle felt like Kristen was still coming after her and adding another thing to her plate. So the other thing, I guess, is Jenna. No, Michelle, the only person who is adding Jenna to your plate is you. If we can just stop for a second, your own insecurities, your own, I don't know, self worth, the fact that you compare yourself to other women so much, especially one from 5 years ago. Listen, and I don't live in like the, idealistic internet world. I might feel weird too if somebody that my boyfriend slept with 5 years ago is all of a sudden around all the time. However, if that person legitimately is friends with people in this group, I would that would change my perspective. I might feel a little weird, but I wouldn't say anything and I would just play it cool and get over it. That's it. Like it's either you're very insecure or Aaron has given you a reason not to trust him. Like those are the two things, those are the two options. Maybe it's both, I don't know. But like Jenna has legitimately been around this group. She was in Sheena's wedding. Okay. I saw this in a tweet and looked, and it's true. She was in the crop top wedding. Okay. Not the Brock wedding. Okay. So she's going way back. And I remember that I think she was somebody who maybe, I could be remembering wrong, but I'm pretty sure she slept with James while he was dating Kristen. I feel like that was a thing. Okay. I have not fact checked this, but we're talking about Vanderpump Rules and people fucking each other. Okay. This isn't like the New York Times. But I'll get back to you. Okay. Maybe I should have done that beforehand. Sorry, guys. Anyways, she's been around. Okay. This is not her first time that she's tried to like get into the mix on the show. Okay. So the fact that Michelle felt like Kristen was coming after her for this, it's just so insane to me. Even just like forget about the fact that Kristen wasn't even, it was Zach in the first place. But then on top of it, just the like, that's like such an amateur plan. Like Kristen's going to bring in a girl he had sex with 5 years ago. Like that's not even that good of a plan. Like that's nothing. Like Kristen would come up with something better. Okay. I really think so. So then we go over to Kristen, and Kristen says that like Janet kept yelling, like, oh, it was Kristen who outed Michelle and Aaron and is trying to like, get in the way of her relationships and butting into people's relationships. But as Kristen says, I never said anything about Aaron, and I wasn't talking about Aaron. So just to remind you guys, I was talking about another guy that she's been fucking for a year. So there you go. Okay. And like again, this is why like let's have some foresight, okay? Like maybe you don't want to beat this drum all the time, Michelle, because you clearly have shit that you're trying to hide that can then be brought up. So I don't know why you're poking the bear being Kristen, because clearly Kristen knows more shit about you. Okay. So just a reminder. It's not a threat. Okay. It's a promise. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Um, Jasmine says Michelle should be able to fight her own battles. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why Janet had to jump in there. I think that was one of the times where it's like, those people who you're like, well, they're terrible. I'm not surprised by any of the terrible things they do. But then you still are because you just can't put yourself in that headspace, I guess. And then Janet's like, well, I don't need alcohol to yell accountability. Okay. No one said you did. You're the one who's using the alcohol excuse. So I don't understand. Like when she said that, I was like, you're the one who literally started this segment with what was in those margaritas, guys. And now you're like, I don't need alcohol to yell accountability. Okay. So was it the alcohol or what? Or so you're saying you just suck sober or not? We agree. Okay. So then Janet goes, I think I said something like, I think I said, get your to go box and get out of here. And you can tell that she so badly wanted that to be like an iconic line. Like she wanted that to be like a, you know, I'm not sure what I did to you, but I'll take a Pinot Grigio. Like she wanted that to be a line. You could tell by the way she said it because she was like, I think I said, and the look on her face and her tone, it's like she's like proud. And I was like, Janet, you're not doing what you think you're doing. And in trying so hard to be the next Stassi, which is what I think Janet's been trying from the start, you you're making everyone dislike you more. I don't know what else to say. Like it's never going to go in the direction that you're trying to force it in because the audience can smell inauthenticity, the audience can smell a fake, and the audience doesn't like people who are trying to like put on too much. And also you're just not witty and funny and like Stassi at the height of her like villain on Vanderpump Rules, she was always funny and witty and quick and interesting to watch, always interesting to watch. And you're not. I don't know what else to say. Okay, that's it. Um, that's the end of my TED talk. So Michelle says this situation had nothing to do with Nia. Okay. And then Sheena's like, yeah, it had nothing to do with her, but was just like overwhelming. So you see Sheena's trying to kind of play the middle a little bit here because, like, I don't think Sheena wants anything to get in the way of her getting back on the show. And if, Nia ends up becoming the fan favorite, which she kind of is, then, maybe that's going to block Sheena from getting on the show. But anyway, so Sheena's like, it had nothing to do with her, but I think just overwhelming. And then they switch over to Lala and Britt, and Lala does this like imitation of Nia and is like, "Oh my god, your trash mouth." And Britt is definitely like cracking up laughing, and they're definitely like having a laugh at Nia's expense. Like, oh, Nia's like such like an innocent like Christian girl and like, "Oh my god, a bad word." Da da da. Listen, that is kind of like that is who she is. I've known people like that. Like my best friend's mom is like that. Like you couldn't say like damn and she'd be like, "What do we live in a trash can?" Like there are people that are like that, okay? So whatever. Anyways, I don't it's not me, obviously, as you see with every podcast episode I have marked explicit. However, I don't judge people who aren't like comfortable with it, especially if it's like authentic to them and they're not just trying to be preachy. And I don't get the impression that Nia is trying to be preachy about it. I've never seen that. I've only seen her berate herself and her husband. And, she married him. She's had 4 of his kids. She has the right to berate him. Um, so then Nia says the vibes were just bad all around. She said everything was just negative. She was weaning off of breastfeeding, so that's why she was so quick to tears, which like say no more, okay? Cuz I in my entire like pregnancy postpartum journey, the most depressed that I ever was when I weaned. And not because I was like I know some people were like sad to stop breastfeeding and that kind of thing. And there's like mixed emotions with that. For me, that was like no problem. I was like happy about it. But the jump in emotions, it was insanity. Like it was like I've just never experienced anything like it. I was like scared. I was worried, that I was getting to like a really dark place and all this. Sorry, I don't know how this became all about me, but it's especially because I had to wean very fast. And I will say that it was harder than any other time emotionally. So if she says that's why she was emotional, I will ask no questions and believe her 100% because it is very hard. So Janet says it seems like Nia is tough when Kristen is there, but then when Kristen leaves, she cowers. I don't think it seems like she was tough when Kristen was there. I think she just was there being herself. Like this is like Janet is it's constant projection. You're the one who like tries to act tough and then later like blames it on the alcohol. Like you're the one who like has these moments that you think are going to be iconic and then you feel bad about it later or whatever. Like I don't see that. And it wasn't that she was cowering because Kristen left. She was like, there was a conflict that hit a peak, and then the conflict ended, and then the emotions came out. And I think that's kind of a normal sequence of events. I don't know. So Janet says, maybe I just called a spade too much. And it kind of turned her, and then Janet says, this is weird. Janet says it turned her on a bit to hear Nia say the F word. Okay. Like, I don't, okay. You're weird. Like, not like weird because it's like a woman saying she's turned on by another woman. It's weird because you and Nia are not friends. And you're not, like, it would be cute if it was like Kristen and Nia joking around. Like, that was so hot when you said the F word, Nia. And then they'd both laugh and be like, yeah, you like that, baby? Like, that would be hilarious. But you guys are not, like, you guys are like enemies and you're beefing right now. So it's weird. Like, it just seems like you're just trying to, like, I don't know, look cool or something. I don't know. It's annoying. The other thing that Janet does in this moment, I'll never run out of things to criticize Janet about, in case you were worried. She's like, it kind of turned me on a bit to hear Miss, what is it? Is it America or USA? What? Which one is it? And then I think Sheena or whoever is like USA. And she's like, okay, to hear Miss USA, don't pretend you don't know. Not only do you know, you've Googled, you've done research, you've sat and stared at pictures of her in her swimsuit competition, you know, seething in jealousy. You fucking have uh, stalked her Instagram. You've probably seen every pageant photo she's ever posted from the last like 15 years. Just stop. You've like searched her name in police records hoping to find something. Like, just enough with this bullshit. Don't pretend you don't know. Okay. You are not Portia Williams. Okay. Shout out Atlanta fans. There's an episode of Atlanta from one of the first season that Portia and Kenya are on, where Kenya comes as like a guest to, and this is like one of my favorite like Bravo episodes of all time. If you don't watch it, I'm going to tell you what happens very briefly here. I promise it's good. And she's like, we're so lucky to have Miss Kenya Moore here, former Miss um USA. And then anyways, she says the wrong way, and now I can't remember, but like, I'm a fan of the show. I'm not friends with these people. Anyway, so she says the wrong one, and then Kenya is so mad. And it's like the beginning of these two newbies, like 10-year, on and off, like enemies most of the time, but some little moments where it looks like they're friends for 5 minutes and then something happens and it doesn't. But it is the beginning of like a beautiful storyline and entertainment for years to come. So listen, Janet, this is not going to be that. Okay. Again, you're not like iconic. You're just not. So Sheena, by the way, is cracking up at this. Like, while Janet says, like, maybe I just call a spade too much. And what is she, Miss USA? Sheena's like, like doing that thing again. Did Janet pay Sheena? Like, I don't know what's happening. I thought Sheena was, it's like Janet was the one sucking up to Sheena for all those years. And now that Janet has the show and Sheena doesn't, it's like a mutual ass kissing friendship. It's crazy. So then Michelle's like, well, she doesn't say bad words. And this is in a derogatory way. Okay. And like, then they're all just like fucking making eyes at each other. Like, they are just all like, they all hate her. It is so clear as day to me. These three, they all do not like Nia. They don't like her. That's it. And that's okay. You don't have to like her, but you don't have to sit there and be like these like mean girls about it. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. Okay. And the other thing I wanted to say earlier that I forgot to say is that they make this big thing at the beginning where Michelle's like, well, this had nothing to do with Nia. So, like, why would she be crying? That is a funny thing to say, considering that this also had nothing to do with Janet. And not only did Janet get very involved, she also got emotional. It wasn't tears, it was, like a little temper tantrum kind of hissy fit with her, like, I don't want accountability. So there you go. I don't understand. Like, why is it not okay for Nia to get emotionally involved, but it's okay for Janet to get emotionally involved? And anger is an emotion as well. Okay. Just a reminder. Then they bring up how Nia snapped at Danny at the table once because she was like, "You just said the F word to me on national television, Daniel." And they're like fully laughing at her. Yeah, so that shows consistency. Like that just shows that it's not her just like saying it cuz she hates you guys. It's not her just trying to like put on a fake whatever. Like that is who she is. So shut up, okay? Um Nia says, it's not often that she says the F word. And then Kristen is like laughing. And then Nia says, I did cuss at Jax when he pulled Danny's pants down. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's when I think back on where this show started. That was like the initial conflict. God, we're only on season 2. We're halfway through season 2, and the conflict has like skyrocketed in terms of seriousness level. But she said she was like so worried about what her in-laws would think. Yeah, like Danny's like from the Midwest, and her and him are both like very Christian. Like I do think for them it's like a big no. Like you don't do that, and don't like embarrass the family by swearing on TV especially. But then she says, I'm learning to just get better and just accept what happens. I'm human. If I swear, I swear. And yeah, that's it. Okay. So then we go to Michelle being around Jenna. And I just want to point out the irony of like Michelle doesn't want to talk about the ex. She doesn't want focus on the ex. She said it was nothing. They just like slept together. And now it's like an entire segment on the after show. And the reason it's a segment is because you, Michelle, have made it that. Like, I understand that Jenna brought it up, but if you had, not given it any life in your reaction to it, yes, we would have talked about it last episode, fine, but it would be dead by now. So just saying. So Britt says Michelle doesn't like being around exes. Michelle says she has this like joking line where she says, I don't believe in exes or in ex-girlfriends. And they're all like, oh my God, it's so funny. Haha, put it on a t-shirt. It's not that good. Okay. And then she says that's how she was raised. It's like once you break up with someone, you don't talk to them anymore. You don't hang out with them anymore. Girl, you are on the Vanderpump Rules spinoff. So you're going to need to quit if that's your philosophy. Just so she says even Jesse can speak to this because when she started dating him, she made him stop talking to all of his exes. Okay. Jasmine says, get over it. That's life. Exactly. I'm with Jasmine. Just get over it. Zach says same thing. And Jasmine and Zach say it's giving insecure. Yeah, it is. And it's not a good look. Okay. Um, Lala says, and I was surprised Lala said this. Okay. This is like the one time Lala said something that surprised me or that was maybe even worth anything of value in this after show. But she says it's interesting that Michelle feels this way because Aaron has to be around her ex all the time and deal with her talking about him. Okay. Where did that come from? Because I thought Lala and Michelle were like, I mean, they are like, I don't think she said anything like egregious. I'm just used to Michelle, Sheena, and Janet, where when one of them's talking, the other two are like just like the yes men who just are like, yes, 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 like never push back or disagree with anything or say anything that could be even interpreted as contrarian. So when I heard her say this, I was kind of like, yeah, you're right. That is like, she's pointing out hypocrisy that there is. Like, you can't be around a girl that Aaron, like, according to you, slept with like once 5 years ago, or it was a COVID hookup and they didn't even really date. And clearly they're way past that now. But he has to be around Jesse like all the time. And he has to listen to you complain. and talk about the divorce, and Jesse's doing that. Even though Aaron did kind of make it clear in the first couple episodes, like you could tell he made it clear that like he feels that you engage too much in it. Like you can tell that Aaron thinks that as well. Like he can see that Jesse's the problem, but he also, like from their perspective, but he also sees that Michelle engages. So yeah, I was like, huh, interesting. Anyways, maybe that's like Lala's sly way of getting back on the show. I hope not. Britt said they've had conversations with Michelle about that and basically just trying to get her to realize that she kind of needs to get over that, especially in this world, because, I think she means the show world, but then she kind of like changes it. And she's like, I think in this group, people will pop up. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, you're not going to get away from this. Like, people, if you've been friends with this group as long as you all say, which it does seem like they have been, more people are going to be popping up. Just, you never know. Okay. It's like whack-a-mole around here. So then we talk about Britt standing up Jax. Jax says he was shocked. Everybody was shocked. Even production was shocked. It was shocking. It wasn't like that. Like, it was shocking in the sense because, like, Brittany always, like, caves, but, no one cares that much. Like, everyone's happy she did it, but I wouldn't say it was, like, some, like, Jax wants this to be, like, the climax of the episode, and, yeah, I don't think it was. I think the climax of the episode was, like, the scene at the restaurant with the girls. And then he's like, she saw something in the tabloids about me being in the bar with some girl. I don't think so. Again, he wants it to be about, oh, Britt is just, she's still like obsessed with me. She's so into me. She saw me with another girl. Blah, blah, blah. No, you just got out of rehab and you were like hammered. I think that's a pretty good reason. So Britt says he was lying to her. As soon as he got out, he was drinking and partying again. Yeah, exactly. Janet and others say, yes, agree with this. Says he was even asking the guys, like, when are we going to go out to get beers, etc. Yeah, because he was never in like, this wasn't a real rehab situation. Okay, this was bullshit. He didn't spend any time working on himself, and he can't work on himself. I don't think he has, like, I don't think there's a cure for whatever is going on in Jax's brain. So Britt says the 30 days did not change him. Sheena says she didn't see a change at all. And yeah, see, Sheena's known Jax like a long time. Britt says then he went back a second time and that helped like a little bit more, but not that much. Okay, so it's like, how much more money are you gonna spend? I mean, I guess she's divorcing from him now, so hopefully it's not her money, but who I wouldn't be shocked if it's somehow her money that's paying for this. Zach says Jax has changed a little for the worse. I love Zach. I love Zach. And I just know when Zach is drunk and you get him shit talking someone he doesn't like, I just know he says the most insane shit about people, and it's probably pretty funny. Okay. He says that he never in his life has seen someone who's been given so many chances and shits on every single chance they're given. Yeah, I mean, I think that says it all. Thank you, Zach. Schwartz says from his perspective as a friend, it feels like Jax is changing, but then he'll talk to Britt and then Britt will like tell him stuff and it's like the opposite. Yeah. He'll put on because he abuses the woman, the victim. He believes you are like his compadre and you're on his side and the two of you are in the like divorced reality stars club and you're his ticket to like, maybe still making some money, maybe still having a career. So yes, he's going to seem better around you, duh, Schwartz. So Jax says Britt, it's just that Britt wants to see him fail. He's doing well, and that's backfiring on her. How is that backfiring on her? You're the father of her child. You doing well makes her life easier. Like, it makes no sense. Okay. Britt says she wants him to be a better person. She said, no matter how much better he gets, no matter what happens, they're never getting back together. But if he was better, they could at least have peace and they could co-parent in peace and her life would be so much easier. Exactly. Exactly. Like there is no amount of reality TV and money, etc., that will make me think that Britt wants to deal with Jax the way that he is now for the rest of her life. I can say a lot of bad things about Brittany. She bugs me. She pissed me off in episode 12. Like the list goes on. I think she's a terrible friend, all this kind of stuff. She wants to be the star and she doesn't have star quality. Like the list goes on and on. Okay. However, in this case, no, she does not. I do not think she wants to see Jax fail to the point where he's like an abusive psychopath stalking. Like, I just don't think so. Jack says he could be perfect. I could be perfect. I could like change. I could be like the perfect man. And she would still be mad. She'd be mad forever. Well, no, that's just you giving us the gaslighting line of like, it's not me. It's just like she's this like crazy psycho woman who's like so mad all the time. And no matter what you do perfectly, she's still going to scream and like lose her. She's a psycho. Like, Jax, we know what you're doing. We know exactly what you're doing. No one's falling for it. Just fuck off with that. Jax says no one expected him to do this and to do so well. Okay, but you haven't done so well. you've you've gone twice, and according to your friends, you've changed extremely minimally. And according to some of your other friends, you've actually gotten worse. So what is this that you're talking about? This is this in the room with us? Like, fuck. Schwartz says Britt says the Jack still rages. Of course he does. Of course he still rages. He hasn't changed. You can't change him. That's it. Okay. Everyone just get a pen out, put a period on the end of the sentence and crumple up the piece of paper and put it in the garbage because that's it. Zach says, and I believe everything Zach says about Jax for the record. Zach says he saw a hat at Britt's the other day. He absolutely freaked out. Britt reassured him that it's Zach's hat, but he took it and threw it out in a fit of anger. And now they can't find it. So Zach lost a hat. Okay, so like this man has not changed. Not changed. Okay. And Jax will be like, no, I have changed. Cause like 6 months ago, I would have taken the hat, thrown it out, and also punched a hole in the wall. Okay. So Jesse says Jesse says Jax is the most toxic person ever. So any little improvement is something. And then they all start laughing. It's funny because Schwartz and Jesse keep saying things like this. And it's like they keep saying them under the guise of like comedy. And like we're sitting here joking around with our buddy. But you can tell that these are jokes this is truth wrapped in jokes because he's sitting right next to them. But you can tell, and I'm not trying to excuse Schwartz and Jesse because I think they know all of this. They believe it all. I think they mean it all, that he's the most toxic person, all of it. And I think they still choose to be friends with him despite this. And they still will be friends with him. But that being said, they know all this. And they are in their own way kind of trying to say it in the gentlest way they can because he's right there next to them. So then they talk about the whole like men's group thing. I just want to say for the record that I support men going to therapy. And I do think that men need to express their feelings with other men. And I do think that needs to be normalized to help kind of break down this like toxic masculinity and the like men don't talk about their emotions. And I think having like men in a group talking to each other and opening up to each other is something that men should do. Okay. And I don't think inherently the phrase men's group is a bad thing. However, okay, there's a big however. This is not it. Okay. I'm talking about a real therapy group with an actual professional psychologist or psychiatrist or therapist or something like that. Not this random life coach guy who's not a therapist, who does not have expertise in this. Like, being a life coach does not a therapist make. It's not the same thing. I'm sorry. And on top of that, you need someone who is really skilled and a professional to deal with these guys. These are not just like your run of the mill, I've got, a little bit of a couple problems and I have some trouble dealing with my anxiety and not that I'm saying that's easy. This is like, we're talking like narcissistic personality disorder. We're talking Jax Taylor. Okay. So to deal with that is like, you need a professional. A life coach is not going to do it. Okay. No one is going to coach Zach in his life down a better path. He's been in a rehab center twice with the actual professionals and has not changed and legitimately gotten worse. So, anyways, I just wanted to say that for the record because I do hate sometimes how sometimes when we see, like, I do feel like sometimes on Bravo shows when we see men in therapy and stuff like that, like, people do kind of like joke and snark on it and stuff, which I understand depending on the man and the situation. I get that. But, in one way, we're like, oh, all these toxic men and toxic masculinity. But then in another way, it's like, okay, well, we can't be like women like making fun of men when they do cry and express their emotions and try to get help because that's supporting the patriarchal system, right? And those systems and those structures and those thinking processes are what we're trying to break down, essentially, right? So I think the other thing to keep in mind is like, we should call it out when we see ridiculous versions of it that are inauthentic, like this. But, also hopefully see it when we do see it in real ways, kind of support it. I don't know. Yeah, I think we just like there's more nuance to it than I think sometimes it's given. That's all. But again, this situation is a joke. So, yeah. Okay, so Danny also mentions that Jax hijacked the experience. Yes, he absolutely did. Like this, at the very least, what this could have been, actually, not at the very least, at the most, what this could have been is just a bonding experience for these guys. It couldn't have been anything else, let's be honest. But yeah, Jax hijacked it because he needed to have his, like, fake emotional breakdown moment with no tears on TV. And he's going to use this experience to do it. He's going to use any chance he can. Jesse says he still sees the life coach guy. By the way, nothing against the life coach guy. I'm not saying he's like a bad guy or anything. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I just don't think he's equipped to take on this group. Okay? Specifically Jax. So even Jesse, I don't think he's equipped for. So Jesse still sees him sometimes, not as often as he used to. But he said that he heard Michelle sees him again. So Michelle had stopped seeing him after the two of them broke up, but now she does see him again, and Aaron too. And apparently they see him together. And Jax is like, wait a minute, didn't they like just start dating? Isn't that a red flag? And Jax is like going, because Jax just loves to talk about other people's, anything to deflect from him and to make other people the bad guy. And then Jesse's like, well, it's not really a new relationship, which I was like, oh, you snuck that in there, but I heard it. And he kind of says it like sort of like quick. He's like, well, if it's a new relationship. But then the other thing is that Jax goes, well, this is why I'm never getting into a relationship again. Oh, what a loss. Okay, like the women of America, thank you, Jax, for never getting into a relationship again. Yeah. I would like to know more about Michelle and Aaron seeing this guy, though. But maybe it's to navigate Jesse. I bet you that's what it is. Okay. Or maybe it's Michelle's rampant jealousy because because Jen is around sometimes. Like, I don't know. Okay, let's go to the list of possibilities is endless, guys. Let's go to episode 12. Okay. So congratulations, of course, to Kristen and Luke, even though this engagement was a while ago. I have to say something. I cried. I do not cry easily, especially at TV. There have been very few Bravo moments where I've actually teared up, and this was one. It wasn't like a full cry, but I had wet eyes, okay? It was much better than what Jax could ever hope for in terms of producing tears, but these were authentic. I think I'm not the only one. I think watching Kristen for so long on TV and, like 20s and 30s is a pretty transformational time. And I think when you watch someone like go through that and all the shit that she was put through by men, James, I mean, she dated James and Tom Sandoval. And then let's not even talk about that other fucking weirdo that she dated who was like mooching off of her forever. She's been through the ringer with men. Okay. So it is very nice to see like a win. And we don't get to see women win with men on Bravo very often. It's pretty rare that we see like a good man and a woman with a good man. So it was just nice. And it's nice that it's Kristen because she was, with the narcissist and then the abuser and then and like then I think a financial abuser after that. Like she really has been through the ringer. So happy for her. Luke seems like a really nice guy. I know a lot of us thought he was weird last season. I think that's just because he's like pretty quiet and like stoic almost. And he's just like, he's not like made necessarily for reality TV. I think we just needed to get to know him a bit. But I will say from the start, I got the vibe that like he's a nice guy. Like I never got the vibe that he's like an asshole or you know, like a Jax or something like that. Um, so Luke says he didn't think that Kristen would say fuck. Um, like, uh, are we talking about the same Kristen? Like, I would be surprised if Kristen didn't say fuck when she gets proposed to. I guarantee you she said fuck a lot when she gave birth to that child. I will tell you that right now. So I was like, of course she's going to. Saying what the fuck and then tripping and almost falling is the most Kristen thing that could ever happen, which is how I knew it was authentic surprise. Because that is so Kristen. Like Kristen's so clumsy and she's it was perfect. It was everything that the audience needed it to be and more. Luke is embarrassed about the whole like catch of a lifetime thing. I think it's cute. It is so cheesy and lame, but if you can't be cheesy and lame during your proposal, like when can you be? Okay? It's all right. We all loved it, Luke, so don't worry. And even if we made fun of it, it would be like making fun of it out of love, okay? Apparently, Kristen was drafting her fantasy football team and she was sitting on the duffel bag with the ring in it for the longest time. And she didn't realize that the boat was going to be so big and nice, which is why she wasn't going to shower. I mean, again, this is also Kristen. Wasn't going to shower, check. Like doing fantasy football, check. Trips, check. Says fuck, check. Like, it's just, it's hilarious. Okay, let's talk about the father. They all discuss the proposal. It's beautiful, all that, but not like how long can we talk about it? Okay, let's talk about the Father's Day picture. Michelle says that Aaron didn't mean anything by it. They had had a nice weekend. They were at like a barbecue, and Jesse was supposed to be with Isabella, but decided not to. I, okay, I'll get back to that. So I don't think that Aaron did it maliciously. And not because I'm like team Aaron or team Michelle. I just don't think that he did. I think what she says makes sense. And usually what makes sense and aligns with what others say is the truth. And it does align with what Jesse says in a minute. One thing that does not align, though, is Jesse was supposed to be with Isabella, but decided not to. Okay. This is where Michelle drives me crazy because then we go over to Jesse. Jesse says, and by the way, I'm not taking Jesse's word as Bible, but what Jesse says here is then confirmed by Michelle in her separate interview in a minute. So I am going to take what he says as the truth because then Michelle confirms it in like 5 minutes or not even 5 seconds later. So Jesse says, so she says, well, he was supposed to be with Isabella, but decided not to. So that sounds very like it was my weekend with Isabella. And at the last minute, I was like, yo, fuck Isabella. I want to go out and party, which that is not what it is. It's just not. So he says he was away at a wedding in Cabo. So it was a destination wedding that Michelle and Aaron were also invited to, but declined. He arrived back on Sunday at noon and picked up Isabella. Okay, so Sunday would be the Father's Day. So he was away at this wedding, I guess, flew back, and then Michelle does, and then they go back and Michelle says, "It's not my fault he decided to go to Cabo." Okay, so he RSVP'd to a wedding. You don't like RSVP to a destination wedding like the day before. Like this is what I'm talking about with this couple is the spinning of things. Just say like if she was saying this in a plain way, this is the truthful way. He was not here for Father's Day because he attended a destination wedding in Cabo. Okay. That's all you have to. But when you say he decided he was supposed to be with Isabella, but decided not to, that sounds like he had plans with Isabella and like they were supposed to go, to the park that day. And then he was going to take her to Chuck E. Cheese. And she was all excited. She's been like talking about it for weeks. And then at the last second, he canceled. That's not what the situation is. So, like, I don't know, like, that just makes me side eye. Like, why are you spinning this? Now, what he did do that was stupid was he RSVP'd to go to this wedding and he didn't look that he would be flying back on Father's Day. That's the stupid thing that he did. And Michelle later says, it's not my fault that he didn't remember it's Father's Day. I'm not his wife anymore. I don't have to remind him. Absolutely. Agree with you 100%. Like, this is what I'm saying. Take the wins where the wins naturally are instead of trying to like force them in other places in this kind of manipulative way. Because I don't know if she realizes, but like, whether you intend to or not, the audience is going to see it. The audience is going to see these things and then start wondering, well, how much can I believe her about this and that? And it's the same as Jesse, because he also tells like half truths. Right. And he also spins things. So I don't know. This divorced couple is getting to me. Okay. It's like, that meme, I'm a child of divorce. Okay. Not that I like them because that's different, but it's hard to say. It's like every week one of them is more like one of them will say things that'll piss me off more and then the next week the other one will be more manipulative. It's very up and down. But yeah, I didn't like that at all from Michelle. So Jesse says, yeah, he was away at the wedding. He got back, he picked up Isabella. So I like again, if he hadn't said that, then the audience would have walked away from this like after show thinking that he like abandoned his daughter on Father's Day, which is not what happened. That's all I'm saying. So Michelle says it's not her fault he decided to go to Cabo. True. She said she had a nice weekend with her daughter and Aaron. They went to a barbecue and they posted it. Again, true. I do think that it is on Michelle to say, maybe don't post this because it's Father's Day. Jesse's going to get like touchy about it. And I think that Jesse, if his girlfriend was trying to do that, I think it would be on him to say to the girlfriend, don't do that. My kid's mom is not, it's Mother's Day. Like that's like going to make her feel weird. Like, I actually don't think that the girlfriend or the boyfriend in either of these situations needs to be making phone calls about boundaries and things like that. I think it's the divorced parents. you need to step in and realize, and again, that's asking a lot because these two hate each other and they're toxic and they're going to try and poke at each other in any way they can. But if they were legitimately putting the child first, that's what they would both be doing. They would both be looking out for whatever would make the other parent feel bad and have some impact on like the co-parenting relationship. So Michelle says as soon as Jesse texted Aaron, he took it down. So again, like, he shouldn't have put it up. Fine. I agree with that. I think he handled it right. He apologized. He took it down. What else can he do? Jesse says, though, that he had that conversation with Aaron in Hawaii, but he says that since Aaron has posted more pics of Isabella, he says hundreds, and he obviously didn't listen. Okay. And, I think that is fair. Like, I think if I asked and had that conversation with my ex's new girl and she kind of agreed to it, I would be kind of like, hey, why are you still doing that? So, I can see his side on that. And what pissed me off in the scene was Jax. The whole time, like, I'm like, Jesse has his side of this, and so does Michelle and Aaron. And I can see parts of both of their sides. Jax is sitting here. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, he's like making such a scene with this fake outrage. I'm like, Jax, you're the worst person like on the planet. Like, there is nothing Michelle or Jesse or any of these people have done that even comes close to like the best thing you've done is still worse than the worst thing they've done. So just shush over there. We don't need like the peanut gallery, okay? Tom and Jax ask if he said anything again to Aaron, like stop posting pictures. He says no, he's just kind of like given up on it. So, okay, if you haven't said anything, you also can't really be that mad about it because I guess he's like, I've said something once, but he says, what am I going to do? He's like, my daughter loves this guy and that's it. So, yeah, I guess, yeah, I could see that. I could see just like kind of giving up on it, like just being like, Isabella likes him. She's happy. It's not like really hurting anyone. So like whatever. I could see that. And just like again, like I think people when it comes to divorces over time, they tire out. I really think that I think people like Jax never tire out because he's like a psycho. But I think that the majority, like people who are not like sociopaths or whatever Jax is, I think eventually they tire out and they're just like, okay, I'm good. Like I can't deal with this anymore. Or maybe in Jesse's case, it's like he wants to look better to the audience than he did last season, whatever the case is, either way, I think it is kind of better to just leave it for the peace of everyone, right? Where was I? Jesse says that Aaron also started taking Michelle and Isabella to his church, which they never had a conversation about, nor have they spoken to Isabella about religion. And, Jesse's not religious. This, I have to say, this bothered me more than the picture. I think, in my opinion, this is a much bigger deal than the Father's Day picture. So apparently, there was a pic of Jason and his son, Danny and his kid, I don't know, one of his like 10 kids, and Aaron with Isabella. And the three of the dads are standing with the kids outside the church. And they posted this. They never asked Jesse's permission. And Jesse says he just in general feels that boundaries are an issue for Aaron. I think that's very fucked up. I think it is fucked up to take somebody else's child to start taking them to church, to a church that you're not a part of, a religion you're not a part of. Now, that being said, if Michelle is going too, then fine. There's nothing you can do about it because the mom is also going. Okay. However, I do think that having a conversation about it, as a family, as co-parents about religion and talking, I think that is an important thing to do. So there's that. So, when Michelle has her, that's up to her. She can bring her to church. I get that. But where it gets weird is Aaron posting this picture of like him and the two other dads with the daughters, the kids, and the one kid that's not yours in front of the church. Like, it is a little weird. Like, it's a little too, I don't know. It's like a step too far. To me, that was the weirder thing. So I don't know. I mean, boundaries, I do see that Aaron has boundary issues because when I think of him in the first episode where he's trying to tell Jesse that he spoils her, it's like, dude, do you not see, like, even if you're right, do you not see that that's not your place to say that? Like, he just doesn't seem, I don't know. Okay. And Michelle seems a little bit like she's like, everything my boyfriend does is like, my boyfriend like shits roses. He's just everything he does is amazing. So like I understand that you're like so like she's so smitten with this guy. It's like I'm like, do you see that he's not, I don't think he's like the devil, but he has some faults. Like you can talk to him. Okay. Michelle says Jesse was maybe just upset about all this because he realized that the weekend that he was coming back from Cabo was Father's Day weekend, so he took it out on them. Yeah, that's probably true. He's probably mad at himself because he's like, oh, fuck. And now she spent this whole weekend. By the time I get back and pick her up, it's like the day's like half done. And she spent this whole weekend with this other guy and I'm an idiot. Yeah, that is probably part of it. And it's probably also the picture. Groundbreaking. Okay. Britt and the proposal. Okay. So we know Britt was a little salty about not being involved in the proposal. She said she's happy for them, but she's also upset that she wasn't included. Yeah, we can tell. Kristen says she does understand why Britt would be upset because she would have wanted to be involved too if it was like Britt getting proposed to or whatever, as she actually was when Jax proposed way back. Listen, as much as I want to hate on Brittany here, I also would be bothered if I'm just going to be 100% honest. If it was like one of my best friends and like the other best friends were involved, but I wasn't. That being said, she needs to understand that she's still dealing with Jax Taylor. And Luke makes a very good point in a few minutes that Brittany, as much as she's trying to stay strong, at this point in time, still had a soft spot for Jax. And if Jax caught even the slightest wind of it, literally the whole world would know. And Luke is not wrong about that at all. So I do understand that. So Luke is like, this is why I couldn't tell Brittany and I told them not to. And then Britt's like, does it even make sense? Do Danny and Nia even fish? I'm from the South. I fish. And then they cut to Danny, who's like, I have literally been fishing my whole life, and my parents have a literal river that runs through their backyard. Okay. So Danny fishes. Nia does not fish, but she's like, the boys can fish and we'll take cute pictures. Cause yeah, like that's like Nia's job is to like look cute. And she's really, really good at it. And I'm complimentary, not derogatory. Zach says Britt was salty, but that he understands. He says if he wasn't involved, he would have absolutely gone like ballistic, which I thought was hilarious. But he said Luke wouldn't let him tell even one person. He's like, Luke would not let me. And he says, it was not my engagement. It's not my place to say. Exactly. And you know what that is, everyone? That's a good secret keeper. There you go. I bet you Zach wanted to tell Brittany. Do you know how bad he probably wanted to gossip about it? I would have. Like, not that I would have told her, but I would have freaking wanted to. Zach says Britt was super salty and made a comment about their engagement decorations, saying that, oh, I could have done it better. But he says that she did apologize later. Okay, so Britt, I can give you a little empathy because I understand I would feel left out too, but I wouldn't say anything. I would just stew inside, you know? And then I'd maybe like bitch to like my mom later about it or something. See, you need to learn how to handle these things. And why are you making a comment about the decorations? That's like, now you're just being a bitch, okay? So Britt says decorations are her thing, okay? Okay, yes, we know, Britt. We've seen the live, laugh, love fucking signs on every single wall in your house. You're so good at it. But she says, with everything going on with her and Jax, and she was drinking all day, she was in a weird place, she just wasn't herself, and she's sorry. It's not about you, Brittany. Now you're going down the path of making like, yeah, just now. This isn't, stop bringing up Jax. No one wants to talk about Jax and his toxicity while you're talking about Kristen getting engaged. But I see the irony that I just talked about it earlier, by the way. Shh. Okay. Then we talk about Janet not going to the engagement. I just want to say that I do not criticize Janet for not going. I actually think that was a good choice. I think she made the right decision. But in classic Janet fashion, she fucked it up by taking it too far and making it all about her and her being a victim, etc. So she almost had it, but she didn't quite get there. Janet says as much as she's in a bad place with Kristen, she wants her to have her engagement without there any weirdness, so it would be better not to go. That's where you should have started and ended it, Janet. And then period, you're done, stop talking. But she just doesn't, she can't do that. So Zach says, who would have thought Janet would have been the easiest obstacle of the day? She was genuinely happy for Kristen, he thinks. And he says he was happy basically that she volunteered not to come. Like that just kind of made it easier for him. And I agreed with him on that. He says that he saw the old her in that moment. You know what? That person that they knew is probably in there somewhere. And that's the person who probably would still exist if she had never gotten on TV. And this person who she is on TV has always been inside, by the way, but she's been pushing it down. It's been waiting, right? It just needed to be given like the gasoline, like the TV shows, like the gas that makes the car go. And it's like, I don't know if that's a good analogy right now, but anyways, Janet said, and again, here's my perfect example of Janet did the right thing in the moment, said the right, but then takes it too far. So then Janet goes, she had just attacked my marriage. So I thought it was best not to go. Okay, fuck off. So you're not going because of her, not because of you. We see what you're doing. Again, it's the like, I'm the victim, right? Or the reason I'm not gracing Kristen and Luke's engagement with my presence is because of what she said and what she did, not because of anything I did. Okay. Meanwhile, apparently it's Kristen is the one who can't take accountability. But Janet says, I'm a quitter in general. Okay, good to know. Jason echoes this and says she just gives up when things get tough. Yeah, I mean, because then she's like, let's just leave the whole vacation. I don't think it was about being a quitter. I think it was about you just hate Kristen so much and you didn't realize that this is the Kristen engagement trip. Which I do see a lot of people on the internet being like, no, it's not the Kristen engagement trip, you fucking loser. Yeah, it actually is. Janet is smart enough. If there's one thing Janet knows, it's how reality TV works. And she knows that this trip will forever be the trip where Kristen got engaged. In flashbacks, in when it's spoken about, in when it's referenced on social media. This is the Kristen got engaged Hawaii trip. That's what this is for the rest of time. Okay. She's smart enough to know that. Now, that being said, she still needs to shut up and suck it up and be there because it's also something else, a work trip, which you signed up for and signed a contract and which you are getting fucking paid for. So shut your mouth and stay and get over it. You are on Kristen's engagement trip and you didn't know. And you win some, you lose some. Sucka. That's all I have to say. So Zach says she's constantly in flight mode, Janet, and that's not how she used to be. She used to be able to stay and talk things out. Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that, but okay. I will take Zach's word for it. And then Janet ended up deciding to stay. She says, basically Jason talked her into it and she was like, okay, I'll try. And also the flight options home were horrendous. She would have been traveling all day and whatever. So yeah, I don't know how selfless of a choice it was, but she ends up staying. Not that I'm expecting her to like make like a selfless choice when it comes to, her staying and hanging out with people that she's mad at or anything. Cause I'm a realist and this is reality TV. But yeah, I'm sure that the real reason she stayed is because it's more money for her, it's more camera time, it's more I'm a reality star. Those are the reasons that she stayed, I think. Okay, and that's the end for today. So, I did see a little clip for next week's episode. It's more, more Janet. More Janet making everything about herself. So, that'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see. This after show is good, I must say. It's been a very good after show this season. Like, I'm proud of them. They've done a really good job. They've actually given like good tea, good like information. They're not just like repeating stuff that we already saw on the show. Like when I do like my recap of the actual show on Patreon, like I don't feel like I'm repeating myself because they do talk about different, like sometimes there's topics that are repeated, but they talk about like different angles of it and parts of it that we didn't know about. Like, I see why Zach in an interview was like, we filmed the reunion and then I watched the after show and I was like, what the fuck? Because there was a lot of stuff that comes up in the after show that they like needed to talk about. Like, I see that. 'Cause this has been a good after show. And it's not just like my opinion on when this happened. It's like, let me tell you something you didn't know. Right. So it's been great. And thank you for being here to listen along. All right. So, if you are looking for more content, including my recaps of the actual Valley episodes and other shows like Next Gen NYC and Real Housewives of Miami and Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I think that's all right now, head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And until next time, you are now in the know for everything Valley. Bye. Thanks for listening, everyone. Your support really means everything to me, and this show wouldn't be possible without you, the listeners. So please, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For more, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And for $5 a month, you'll get 4 extra podcast episodes a month. You'll also get early releases of Bravo Paper episodes and more. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Bravo Papers and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Bravo and Botox and at The Bravo Papers. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can at buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox. Send your love through some much needed caffeine. And any guest that was on today's episode will be in the show notes, all their social media and contact information. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep overanalyzing Bravo.